You're watching Unrendered on IKTV. I am Tony Regisford, and on this edition of Unrendered, I have with me a very distinguished gentleman. He's absolutely no stranger to Unrendered. He's a favorite guest of mine, Dr. the Honorable Linton Lewis. Dr. Lewis, I can't think of any other way to introduce you as somebody who's been here several times. You are actually a very regular guest. You're almost sort of semi-anchor to this Unrendered program when it comes to politics. And so welcome, and Happy New Year.
Many happy returns to you, and thank you very much, Tony, for having me here again. It's always a pleasure being here with you, discussing a number of issues, social,
yes,
political, others, cultural.
Yes.
I get a tremendous amount of pleasure being here with you.
I gather that. And I hope you don't take this as an insult, but like Sarah Palin, you are the politician who's always in the news in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You are sometimes there for the wrong reasons, I think. But nevertheless, you are in the news. And this time is no different. You just came out of a heated exchange in the House of Parliament, which resulted in you being asked to leave, and the rest of your party got up and left as well. Speak to that issue, if you may.
Well, what happened is that the Prime Minister was making statements about persons who didn't read, specifically referring to the leader of the opposition when he was making his presentations. And the fact is that he then moved from that on to starting a statement about me, and whenever I'm asked a question in the House on any legal issue, I name constitutional, administrative, international, and I can't answer it, then I say I'm an expert. That statement is very stupid, and stupid in the sense that, not that I'm saying the Prime Minister is stupid, the statement is in the sense that if you can't answer a question, how could you then turn around and say you're an expert? And the other thing is that why would they want to ask me a question in the House? We don't ask questions in the House, we ask the government questions. So that was a blatant lie that was told in the House. And I said that is a lie. The fact is that the Speaker of the House asked me to leave the House because I said that is a lie.
On parliamentary language. Yes.
But you see, the thing on the parliamentary language has a lot to do with the context within which it is used. Yeah. I wasn't saying the Prime Minister is a liar, like they usually say about our members of Parliament. And the Speaker, if he followed parliamentary procedure, ought to have requested of me to state my objections. And if he didn't think that my objections were justified, to call upon me to withdraw the statement. And if I didn't, to repeat it and to inform me what is likely to happen if I did not withdraw it. Now the Speaker did not do so. He behaved as if I were in his home, and he said, "Get out of the House." Now, I want to read to you.
Before you get on to that, right, because you've said a few things, and I've allowed you to go on. But before you get on to that, the first thing you said was that the Prime Minister made a statement, and he was referring to the leader of the opposition, particularly when he made the statement about people must read. And I listened to the clip myself because it's been about, in fact, I actually listened to the incident when it happened. And I think the Prime Minister said something like, you know, he encourages people to read. I cannot see how you get from that to say that he's referring to the leader of the opposition.
No, what happened is that he was making some statements on a number of issues with respect to the budget, and referring to some things that the leader said. If you remember, the leader had an exchange with him in the House of Parliament. So
you made the assumption that that statement was targeting the...
It was, but it also... Then he said, well, you people over there, meaning us, that we must read, we're not reading.
I didn't hear that, though.
No, but he made a statement...
I didn't hear that in the clip.
He made a statement to the effect that we must read.
What he said is that he encourages people to read. That's what I heard.
Yeah, but he meant that the opposition, because that's what he was speaking about. But
Linton, I must, because it's a fundamental point.
No, but it's not, because I then said to him, he is not the only person who reads, and you must not give the impression that he's the only person who reads.
Yeah, but you didn't exactly object to it in that sort of language, because what I heard in the clip was a very irritated person, very irritated, agitated Linton Lewis that was actually rebuffing the Prime Minister on the statement that he says he encourages people to read, and you actually saying that he's insulting you.
Well, he's insulting people. He was insulting people on our side of the house, because in the first place, many of us couldn't have been where we are if we weren't reading.
Yeah.
So that to my mind was a nonsensical and insultive statement. That's how I viewed it. And it was viewed like that within the context within which it was said. A number of other things were being said before that, you know. Even trying to get at me, and I ignored them by even calling my name. I ignored them. And the issue is that I told him that he is not the only person who reads. He must stop giving that impression. But that wasn't the issue. The issue is the lie that he told.
Yeah, I know we can be here all day going back and forth with this one, because it's a question of interpretation. Would you accept that maybe you overreacted at that point?
No.
Because your language...
To say that is a lie.
Yeah.
How is that overreacting?
No. I'm talking about what led up to that is a lie. Because the speaker asked you to leave the house. I felt...
He said to me...
Not necessarily...
No, you can't feel. The speaker said that I use unparliamentary language by saying that is a lie. So that is the reason why he asked me to leave the house. Now, you can't feel anything else.
No, I'm not feeling anything else. But I am saying to you, I listened to what led up to it. And you were using language like telling the Prime Minister to sit down, shut his mouth.
No, I never said that. Never. Well, I said, why did you keep quiet?
Well, you know, the clip,
hold on.
The clip is out there. Hold on. The clip is out there. I don't have it here with me, but the clip is out there.
Are you prepared for me to go through and indicate to you all the things that they have been saying to us?
We'll be here all day.
But let us move on then to...
We'll be here all day.
Let us move on then to why is it? Because they have said a lot of ridiculous things to us in the house. And that is what you really should be making references to, because we have had to stay there and we have had a barrage of attack and insults, and for the most part we did not respond to them because we didn't want to have a problem in the house. So I think that to Linton, talk about what was said by reaction to the Prime Minister said many things in the house about me that totally untrue and I didn't like. Linton, I didn't respond to him in those issues.
Linton, if I may, right, I listened to Parliament, and on both sides I find, you know, there is pecan if you want. Sometimes it may border going too far, okay? But most times there's a lot of that. You know, my friend Senator Thomas, Jomo Thomas, who I interviewed on this program not too long ago, actually sums it up quite nicely. You know, he says we don't have time, we don't have a lot of time for that, right? And I believe him. I see Jomo's demeanor and so on in the house and the way he approaches his debate. I'm not saying he's the most excellent presenter there, right? But I can see where he's coming from, because compared to the UK, where there's a lot of that goes on, as you know, that's a country that has lots of resources. You know, they can afford to have that sort of exchange when they're discussing the people's business, because, you know, they've got resources, in other words. And Jomo's point is that we have very, very limited resources, and we need to get on with what we need to get on with. So my point to you is that there's a lot of back and forth, and very often you have to duck these bouncers. And you're an opening batsman. You know about aggressive bowling. You know about the ball moving around, whistling past you. And I'm sure you have the tactic of avoidance and ducking. Yeah, right? Not every ball that you hook.
But avoidance and attacking. That's I said to you earlier on, I heard him referring to me, and I refused to engage. I said so earlier on. So that is dead within the statement you're making. The issue that led us to this is that the leader, the Speaker of the House, asked me to leave the House without following parliamentary procedure. He did not follow parliamentary procedure when he did so. And I reminded him in the House, as I can do following parliamentary procedure, that Senator Julian Francis, during the budget debate, called Daniel Cummins a liar.
I heard you say that.
The Speaker said that he was not in the House when Senator Francis did that, and I brought a tape on the radio and played a tape where the Speaker was responding to Senator Francis when he said that. But he never asked Senator Francis to leave the House. Even he called more than once to Daniel Cummins and said, "You're a liar, you're a liar." Now, he didn't do anything at all to Senator Francis, nothing. I said with the Prime Minister's statement that that is a lie, which is different, and he asked me to leave the House for using unparliamentary language. You leave the House if there's gross disorderly conduct, then he can ask you to withdraw from the House.
So would you accept, Linton, that what was leading up to, before you said that's a lie, where you asking the Prime Minister to sit down, shut his mouth?
I never said to the Prime Minister, now you're lying, you know. I never said so.
You never said to him, shut up or shut him
no. I keep saying that now you are lying on me. I never said so. I said keep quiet. Now the other thing is this, is that
so you never said shut your mouth?
No. I have the tape and I can play it. I have a tape in my vehicle. I can play it for you. The issue is this, is that even when I was making my presentation in the House, I couldn't even hear myself at times. I have known that I've made a presentation to the House and told the Speaker if I can be allowed to make my presentation not being interrupted several times, and the Speaker did nothing. I also have those recordings as well.
Why?
So I don't understand why is it that the government side of the House can say what they feel like saying to us on our side of the House, can banter, they can exchange words and so on, but we are not permitted to do the same thing. There's nothing in the rule that prevents us from doing it except to say that a member should be permitted to make his presentation in silence. The fact is that in most democratic jurisdictions in the world, especially those in the Westminster style parliament, you always find this to and fro in parliament. Sometimes this is good. Sometimes
this is what Senator Thomas is talking about, because I listen to the UK Parliament and it is absolutely horrible as far as I'm concerned. People hardly get a chance to be heard. They can't even hear themselves as you're talking.
But my problem is the Speaker's inability and reluctance to apply the rules effectively and his obvious bias in the way in which he actually dispenses justice. I have a problem with that.
Why, Dr. Lewis, why were you so incensed to the point where you spoke about the Prime Minister having to, you'll have to kill me, words to that effect?
No, good. You see, but I thought you said you listened to everything. I said to him that, I said even during the day I refused to respond to him. Every time I'm in the House of Parliament, the only time that he was not in a provocative mood with me was this debate, because he absented himself from Parliament. But he always tries.
So you think he sees you as a threat?
No, I don't know what he sees, but perhaps that's his nature. But he always makes an attempt to harass me in the House. And in the way in which he does it sometimes, gives me the impression that it's not just banter, but it gives me the impression there's something more. So I said to him, well, listen, the way you behave towards me, you seem to have a problem with my very existence. He talks about my qualification all the time. All the time, like if he's obsessed with it.
So that led you to suggest that they'll have to kill you.
No, but he talks about it all the time. Yes. He always has something to say about me and my qualification, me, and without my even troubling him. So I said, well, he has a problem with my existence. If you have a problem with my existence, if you feel that that there's a problem with it, I will always be in your presence. I will always be in your face. I'll always respond.
So therefore, he should kill you.
That's the only way he can deal with me. So then that's what I said to him.
We're at the end of the first segment, so we'll take a break here, and when we come back, we'll continue.
Let me tell you
You're looking at Unrendered on IKTV. When we come back from the break, we'll have more with Dr. Lewis.